Your children have no space on the New Year's voyage, my brother declared. His boy chimed in. Each ticket costs $3,200, so enjoy New Year's at your place. I'm aware, child. I funded every single fare. They uploaded family pictures sans us. As the vessel departed and they spotted us waving from the deck, I merely grinned. Happy New Year. It appears you're the ones remaining home. You know, for years, I thought I understood what family truly meant. I thought it meant unconditional love, support, showing up for each other. But what if that idea itself became a weapon? What if the people you'd bent over backward for, the ones you loved and funded, suddenly tried to erase the very people you live for? My name's Eston. I'm 34. I host a podcast where I spend most days asking people tough questions and listening for what they don't say. I'm a husband to Jenna, a dad to two amazing kids who think room service pancakes are the peak of civilization. And in my family, I've always been the reliable one. Which, let's be honest, is a nice way of saying I'm the guy with the credit card on file. New Year's was supposed to be simple. A dream, really. A family cruise, fireworks over the water, grandparents hugging grandkids at midnight, a fresh start. I'd booked it months ago, a surprise for my parents' 35th anniversary. 12 tickets, 2 adjoining cabins for my crew, balcony rooms for everyone else, transfers, the works. I even covered the deposit for my brother, Mason, because he just needed a few weeks to come up with his share. Then, 2 days before embarkation, Mason called. No hello. No how are the kids? Just this flat, cold statement. There's no room for your kids on the New Year cruise. My stomach dropped. What? I thought I'd misheard him. You put me on speaker? I asked, straining to hear over the blare of a TV and the clink of ice in a glass. Then his son, my 15-year-old nephew, piped up like some miniature finance manager. Tickets are $3,200 each, so, Happy New Year at home. I just stared at the drywall in my kitchen, like it might give me answers. My own kids were coloring happily at the table, oblivious. I know, kid, I said, my voice tight. Because I paid for every single ticket. Silence. A muffled laugh. Then Mason again. Look, we voted. Adults only this time. The vibe is different without toddlers. They're not toddlers, I snapped. They're 7 and 9. Jenna touched my wrist, a silent plea to stay calm. Mason exhaled dramatically. Look, the ship's full. Nothing we can do. You can still send mom and dad, though. Don't be selfish. I walked into the hallway, needing to escape, needing to hide the fury that was rising in my face. My heart was doing that slow, heavy thud, the one that means something important is breaking. I've done 100 interviews about boundaries, burnout, family roles. Funny how all that theory evaporates when it's your own brother telling your kids they don't count. Text me the new cabin list, I said, my voice dangerously steady, and send the receipt for the changes. He didn't answer. 10 seconds. 20. Then my phone buzzed. The family group chat. A photo. Matching boarding outfits laid out on a bed. T-shirts that said, ship happens. My parents commented with heart emojis. My sister Ivy wrote, can't wait. Adults deserve fun. Another buzz. Mason, we'll post pics. No hard feelings. I looked at Jenna. She just shook her head. Don't say anything yet, she whispered. I didn't. I just saved the photo, opened my email, and searched for the original confirmations. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's keeping receipts. Literally. See, this didn't start with a cruise. It started years ago, with 1,000 small yes that sounded harmless one at a time. Yes, I'll cover the electric bill until Friday. Yes, I'll add you to my Amazon so you can watch that show. Yes, I'll book the Airbnb, and you can Venmo me later. Later never came. Or it came in pieces, wrapped in excuses. A Cash App payment at 2:13 a.m. for $40 with a memo. You the best. 3 weeks after a $600 weekend. A promise. A shrug. Another promise. Family right. When my podcast took off, the story changed. Suddenly, I made good money, which meant I had a duty to share. Mason said it the loudest, but Ivy was the one who turned it into consensus. We all help each other, she'd say, which always translated to me helping, and everyone else clapping. Last winter, my parents' car died. I bought them a reliable used one. It's a gift, I told Jenna. No strings. She squeezed my hand and said softly, just make sure they know it's a gift, not a tap. I nodded, but when I handed the keys over, Mom teared up, and Dad said, we'll pay you back when our tax return hits. And Mason laughed. Or Eston can just write it off. I just kept smiling. That's my role, right? The reasonable one. The calm one. I learned a long time ago that raising your voice only makes people decide you're the problem. So when I planned this cruise, it felt like something good I could steer. A reset. A memory my kids would hold on to forever. I booked early. Midship cabins so Mom wouldn't get seasick. Paid for the drink package because Dad loves pretending he can taste the difference between sparkling wines. Added the Wi-Fi because Ivy can't be offline for 5 minutes. And I put everything under one umbrella booking. Mine. We talked about it for months. The group chat buzzed. Countdowns. Excursion links. My dad asking if formal nights still meant a tie. Ivy posting a TikTok of cruise hacks she clearly hadn't read. Mason asking about casino hours. I watched my kids pick their New Year's outfits. My daughter chose glitter sneakers. My son wanted a tie like Grandpa. It felt right. Then, 3 weeks out, the asks started. Mason, can we swap our interior for a balcony? Ivy said we should all match. Me? Sure, I'll call. I moved things around, paid the difference, telling myself, it's worth it to keep the peace. Ivy, also, can we link our cabin with Mom and Dad's so we're near the elevators? Me, done. 2 weeks out. Mason remembered he hadn't paid me his share. Payday is weird because of holidays, you know how it is. I didn't know. I also knew his watch was newer than mine. I told him we'd settle after the trip. A week out, I noticed something odd in the portal. The primary guest on 2 cabins wasn't me anymore. It was Mason. I called the cruise line. The agent explained politely that someone with the booking number and your last name had updated contact details to streamline check-in. Can they remove guests? I asked. Only the lead guest can remove or reassign, she said. But since it's a linked family booking, any lead can make changes to linked cabins, even if you paid. I'm sorry, sir. We look at the lead, not who swiped the card. I changed the passwords, reset the pins, re-added myself as the lead on everything. I texted Mason. Stop changing the booking. Ask me if you want to move a bed. He replied with a laughing emoji. Control freak much? 2 days later, he did it again. This time, I got a notice that 2 minors had been removed for capacity. I called immediately. After 20 minutes on hold, a supervisor came on. Sir, your family member transferred those guests to another sailing. Those guests are my kids, I said, each word steady because my hands weren't. The supervisor paused. Sir, I can see that you paid the initial deposit for all cabins. Do you want me to lock the booking so changes require your voice code? Yes. Before I do, there's something else, she added carefully. Your brother requested to add a 3rd adult to his cabin. That would exceed capacity unless minors are moved. My eyes slammed shut. Add no one, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Lock everything. That night, Jenna and I sat at the kitchen table while the kids slept. She set her mug down and said, You know what this is, don't you? I know, I said. I just hate that it's happening around a thing I wanted for our kids. You wanted a memory, she said softly. They wanted a sponsor. I nodded. They're going to make me the villain if I say no. She squeezed my fingers. They already did. In the morning, the group chat filled with new energy. Ivy posted a meme about free babysitting equals grandma's problem. Mason wrote, Adults cruise. Sorry, not sorry. My mom sent a winking face. We'll bring the kids souvenirs. My dad wrote nothing, which is his way of agreeing without typing it. I typed and erased 10 different replies. Then I did what I always do when I'm unsure. I got organized. I pulled every receipt, every email. I exported the chat. I made a folder called Cruise Paper Trail. Not because I planned to start a war, but because I was tired of being told my memory was the problem. 2 days later, Mason made that call with the line about no room. He hung up before I could answer. Minutes later, a new post hit the group chat. My family in matching shirts. Ivy captioned it, pointing at a suitcase tower, adults only, manifesting stress-free vibes. Jenna read it and said, We can still go. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. We will, I said, but not how they think. The confrontation didn't happen in person. It happened the way all modern family fights happen, in a group chat that everyone swears they hate and checks every 5 minutes. I dropped screenshots. The invoice with my name and the total that made my stomach tighten, even though I knew it by heart. The line that showed I paid the deposit and the balance. The call log with the cruise line. A note from the supervisor confirming the lock on the booking and the reversal of unauthorized changes affecting minor guests. Then I typed, Here's the situation. I booked this trip for our family. Plural. If you want an adults-only vacation, book one. I'm taking my kids on the cruise I paid for. The typing bubble popped up and down like a siren. Ivy went first. No need to be dramatic. Mason. Dude, we were just trying to vibe. You're making it weird. Mom. Eston, we thought it would be easier. The ship is crowded. The kids will be bored. Jenna finally weighed in. Our kids were never the problem. Please stop saying that. Mason sent a voice note. His voice had that tight, false calm he uses when he's about to swear. Bro, you're not canceling anything. Everyone is packed. We already posted. Don't embarrass the family. I kept my tone level. I'm not canceling. I'm restoring the original plan. Everyone keeps their cabin. Our 2 minors remain in their beds. If anyone tries to remove them again, I will remove whoever made the change from the booking entirely. Ivy, you can't do that. Me. I can. Lead guest. Card on file. Voice code. Try me. Silence. Then my dad, who never texted during conflict, finally appeared. Son, be reasonable. I felt something settle inside me. Being reasonable got us here. I typed. New rule. I'm done paying for events where my kids are not welcome. Mason. So what? You're holding the trip hostage. Me, no. I'm honoring what I booked. If you want to change the terms, book your own trip. He tried the guilt pivot. This is why we never ask you for anything. I dropped one more screenshot. A spreadsheet of loans and Venmo notes from the last 3 years. Names blacked out, amounts not. The total at the bottom spoke for itself. Mason wrote, mocking, podcast guy made a spreadsheet. Adult man can read it, I replied. He went quiet for the rest of the day. The chat did its thing. Side comments. My mom trying to soften. Ivy posting a reel about packing cubes like none of it was happening. I didn't respond again. That night, my phone pinged with a private message from Mason. You're dead to me if you pull anything at the port. I stared at the words until they lost shape. Then I put my phone face down and tucked my kids into bed. My daughter asked, are we still going on the big boat? Yes, I said. We are. Embarkation morning felt like the start of a road trip when you were a kid. Too bright, too early. Coffee and travel mugs. The car smelling like sunscreen and printer ink. My son counted buses out loud. My daughter wore her glitter sneakers and carried a tiny backpack packed only with crayons and a hairbrush shaped like a unicorn. The terminal buzzed with rolling suitcases and squeaky sneakers. The ship loomed like an apartment complex that learned to float. We took a family selfie for us, not for the group chat, and got in line. At security, I saw Ivy first. Head-to-toe neutral palette, giant hat, rolling 2 bags like she was on a runway. She clocked us and blinked like we were a glitch in her camera. Then I saw my parents, in matching windbreakers, my dad's grin too wide. And there was Mason, jaw clenched, his teenage son already filming for a story. I nodded. Morning. Mason looked at my kids, then at me. So you're really doing this? We're boarding the cruise I paid for, I said. He smirked. We'll see. I didn't rise to it. We went through the first checkpoint. The agent scanned our passports, smiled at my daughter's unicorn brush, and pointed us toward the escalator. Behind us, I heard raised voices. Sir, I'm not seeing a completed check-in for this guest, an agent said. That's impossible. Mason snapped. We did it yesterday. Not with this configuration, the agent replied. You can't have 3 adults in 1 cabin unless. I didn't turn around. I kept walking, Jenna's hand in mine, kids bouncing on their toes. At the final scanner, a supervisor waved us into the priority lane. Mr. Cole, she said, we spoke on the phone. Come this way. Your rooms are ready. We've noted your voice code. No changes without you. Thank you, I said, meaning it more than she could ever know. We rode the gangway. The air smelled like salt and new carpet. The ship's horn sounded, and my son hooped like a tiny pirate. I felt the knot in my chest loosen for the first time in days. My phone vibrated nonstop. I ignored it until Jenna gave me a look that said, you'll be thinking about it anyway. I opened the group chat. Photos. They'd started before us. My parents on a bench. Ivy with a latte. Mason captioned a selfie outside the terminal. Family traditions missing a few, but we'll survive. Then a new message. They're saying our boarding times got moved. Ivy wrote, we're in some other line now. A few minutes later, why did my cabin number change from my mom? Then Mason, call me right now. He blew up my phone with calls I didn't take. Finally, a text came through with a photo. A line at a customer service desk stretching like a theme park ride. The caption, they split us up. Jenna raised an eyebrow. I shrugged. I didn't split anyone, I said. I returned everything to the original booking. If they were trying to sneak extra adults or push our kids off the manifest, that's on them. We found our cabins, adjoining doors, 2 towel animals, waiting on the beds like polite aliens. The kids ran from balcony to bunk to bathroom like it was a museum built just for them. I took a slow, deep breath and let my shoulders drop. An hour later, we were on deck for the sail away. A band played cover songs nobody admitted to knowing the words to. Paper streamers blew sideways. The city slid backward. I leaned on the rail with my kids, pointing at tugboats and pelicans. Down on the quay, I saw them. My family, clustered near a fence, phones up, faces screwed into that combination of anger and theater. They pointed at the ship, then at me, then at a paper. Maybe an updated boarding pass. Maybe nothing. I waved. Not petty, just present. My daughter waved too, because waving is her love language. Mason cupped his hands and yelled something I couldn't hear. His son filmed. Ivy shook her head like a disappointed influencer. My mom dabbed at her eyes. My dad glared. The band hit the chorus. The ship moved. Jenna leaned in. Do you want to go down there? Try to fix it. I looked at my kids. My son held the rail with both hands like he could steer. My daughter's glitter shoes flashed in the sun. I thought of every single time I was told to be reasonable, to be quiet, to make it work for everyone else, but not the people I promised to put first. No, I said. I don't. The horn sounded again. Confetti popped. My phone buzzed with a final message from Mason. You did this. You stranded your own family. I typed back. I offered the original plan. You tried to change the guest list. We're done playing that game. Then I put my phone on airplane mode. We explored. The kids discovered the soft serve machine. We found a quiet corner of the buffet with a view of nothing but ocean. At sunset, the sky did that gradient you can't photograph. My daughter fell asleep at dinner with a noodle stuck to her cheek. Jenna took a picture because we are allowed to keep memories that aren't shared with people who don't deserve them. The next morning, a stack of notifications waited when I turned my phone on for a minute to check the time. Texts, voicemails, posts I was tagged in. Ivy had put up photos of family day at the pier with a caption that read, "Sometimes things don't work out, but we make the best of it." The comments were a soup of sympathy and passive aggression. One said, "Some people forget where they came from." Another, "Money changes, folks." I didn't engage. I booked the kids into a cupcake decorating class and a scavenger hunt. I took my son to watch the ship's pilot boat peel away like a toy. I taught my daughter how to order room service fruit like a tiny queen. We watched a dive show where people leapt into a pool the size of our living room while the ocean moved under everything like a slow animal. I held Jenna's hand and felt the steady thump of a life that made sense. On day 3, guest services called our cabin. "Mr. Cole," the supervisor said, the same kind voice from my calls. "Just letting you know there were attempts again to alter the miners' assignments. Our system blocked them. We've added a note that only you can authorize any changes. Enjoy your day." "Thank you," I said, a little stunned, a lot grateful. That night, while the kids watched an outdoor movie, Jenna nudged me. "You're quiet," she said. "I'm thinking about what comes after," I admitted. She nodded. "Then let's talk about after." We did. Sitting under a blanket with popcorn we kept stealing from our kids, we made the list we should have made years ago. Boundaries. What we would fund, what we wouldn't. Who gets our time. How we will handle holidays. How many times we let someone call our kids in the way before we hit block. 0, Jenna said. The number is 0. 0, I agreed. On New Year's Eve, the deck filled with people in paper hats. A little band of kids, including ours, did laps around the pool as if practicing for a marathon of sugar. Midnight came with a countdown, a horn blast, fireworks reflected in black water. I kissed Jenna, and then kissed the tops of 2 small heads and told them, "This year is ours." Across the sea of faces, I saw a stranger hand his phone to another stranger so his whole family could be in one photo. I saw a little girl on her dad's shoulders. I saw a grandmother dancing with a toddler. I saw what I had wanted and realized I already had it, just smaller and better. The ship's photographer offered to take a picture of the 4 of us. We said yes. The photo would live on our fridge, not the group chat. That felt like the point. When we got home, there were messages waiting like a stack of unpaid parking tickets. Some angry, some pretending to be calm. One from my dad that said, "You humiliated us." As if humiliation couldn't possibly be the result of your own choices. One from my mom that said, "You broke your father's heart." A sentence designed to press every button at once. A long one from Ivy about optics and empathy. None from Mason that weren't threats or fragments of threats. I listened to 3 voicemails and then stopped. I forwarded everything to a new folder and then moved the group chat into the archive. If I needed documentation, I had it. If I needed peace, I knew where it wasn't. I wrote one final message and sent it to each of them individually, so nobody could perform for the group. I'm done paying for things where my kids aren't welcome. I won't be your bank or your plan B. Don't talk about my children like they are luggage. If you want a relationship with us, it comes with respect. No more gray areas. I put my phone down and went to make grilled cheese with my daughter because she was starving in a very serious way, which means she wanted 2 sandwiches. The next week, I recorded a podcast episode called The Cost of Being the Reliable One. I didn't name names. I didn't tell the cruise story. I talked about roles, about how families love you to be a function, wallet, fixer, clown, ghost, because it keeps the system humming. I talked about boundaries as a gift you give your future self. I talked about how family means nothing without safety. Emails poured in. A guy wrote that his sister had used his credit for years, and he finally froze the account. A woman said her mother called her selfish for not hosting Christmas while she recovered from surgery. A dad said he felt seen for the first time. I printed those and stuck them in a folder marked Keep. My parents didn't answer my boundary text. Ivy responded with a paragraph about tone and gratitude that ended with, "We'll circle back." Mason sent a middle finger emoji, and then 3 days later, a request for $500, just until Friday. I declined. Then I blocked him. There wasn't a big, cinematic showdown. There was just quiet. Quiet group chats. Quiet holidays. Quiet space in my head where the panic used to sit. And in that quiet, other things got louder. Reading on the couch with my kids. Jenna and I planning a spring road trip where we stop for fries at weird roadside places. Family dinners with friends who act like family because they actually show up. My mom's favorite casserole recipe, which Jenna makes better. The sound of my son practicing piano with exactly 6 minutes of focus. My daughter announcing she's starting a rock band made of wooden spoons. On New Year's Day, we printed the photo from the ship. It's the 4 of us, wind in our hair, my daughter's glitter shoes kicked up, my son holding a plastic flute of apple juice like a toast. On the back, Jenna wrote, "We choose us." I don't know what my extended family will do next. I can't control the part where they rewrite the story at brunch and tell aunts and cousins that I ruined the trip. I can't fix the reflex that makes my mom say, "We were only trying to help," when what she means is, "We wanted it our way." I can't stop Ivy from curating a version of us that gets her more likes. I can't give Mason a conscience. What I can do is keep my list. The one from the blanket under the movie screen on the ship. My kids are not negotiable. My marriage is a priority, not a resource. No is a complete sentence. Love is shown by showing up. I choose small, real joy over big, fake optics. The last message I sent said, "When you're ready to come over for dinner and treat our kids like human beings, the door is open. If you're not ready, that's okay. We're not waiting." I stood at the sink and watched my son build a Lego boat on the counter because for some reason, the counter is the only place you can build a boat. My daughter asked if we can do the big boat again next year. "Maybe," I said. She said, "But only with us." "Only with us," I said. That night, as I set the photo on the fridge, I realized the piece I'd been missing. The happy ending wasn't the ship leaving while I waved at people who chose to stay behind. The happy ending was the weight that finally lifted when I stopped trying to drag them with me. Happy New Year. Looks like we're the ones going forward. So, I've shared my story. Now I'm genuinely curious. Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand with family? What did you choose? What was the cost? Tell me in the comments below. I really want to hear what you think.